Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Leadership and Politics with Dr. Abraham. On the show with me today is the Chairman and CEO of WD-40, Mr. Garry Ridge. Welcome to the show.
Great to be with you today. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you for doing this and making the time, especially I know how busy you are. So I appreciate you and I appreciate everything you've done. I'm looking forward to have your insights and share that with our audience. Let's talk about, first thing is, what's WD-40 for those who
Well,
don't know it?
sure. Interesting enough, WD-40, we say we're in the memories business. We exist to create positive, lasting memories by solving problems in factories, homes, and workshops around the world. It's a product that was developed in 1953. The company was called Rocket Chemical Company back then. There was a problem with condensation and corrosion in the umbilical cord of the Atlas space rocket. The chemists got together and started to mix up solutions. And on the 40th try, they got it right. And so that's why it's called WD, water displacement 40th formula. And we now market our product in 176 countries around the world. So we're busy stopping squeaks and helping people get their job done at home and at work.
So what we learn here is the reason it's called WD-40 is because you had 39 trials. And how many years did those trials took?
Yeah, it was about a year.
From that point, took its own course. It started to become a brand by itself. I'm going to show you
Yeah.
something. To research for this, I didn't go anywhere. I went to the sink, under the sink in my house and in my office. So I got two things for you.
Fantastic.
I have this one and I have this one. And for those, our dear audience, for those who don't know what WD-40, I wanted you to have the visual so you can connect to it. I have with me Chairman and CEO that made this product a household name, Mr. Garry Ridge. What do you feel when somebody lifts a bottle like this and tell you possibly every household in the country, plus probably in the world, has some sort of either the smaller one or this one? How does that make you feel?
Very humble and very honored. I think that, again, our just cause as a business is to make life better at home and at work. And we love the fact that our product helps people get their job done. It helps create memories. It helps create income. So we're very proud of that. And I'm very humbled because of the organization that's behind it. We imagine a place where you go to work every day, you make a contribution to something bigger than yourself, you learn something new, you feel safe and are set free by a compelling set of values, and you go home happy. And happy people create happy families, and happy families create happy communities, and a happy community creates a happy world.
I
And we
like
see
that.
that as one of our goals. Business today, more than ever, can make a massive impact on the quality of life because we touch so many people every day.
Yes.
And I love what Aristotle said in 384 BC: pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. And it's our job as servant leaders to put pleasure in the job for the people who come and serve every day. Because if we do that, they'll do the best job they possibly can.
Wow, wow. What a formula of success, actually a way of life as well. So you live by that. You live by that, by Aristotle saying. So that takes you really into creating an environment for people, for your people, environment that is a positive environment that is contributing, an organization that think of its employees along the way of shareholders. It's a philosophy that I love to advocate for, and it seems you put it into play. Tell me about the engagement. How did you reach this level? Why you of all people decided to have it this way? In addition to what you just told us about Aristotle, I know he is a philosopher, but you didn't just use Aristotle as your model and when moved on. There must be something else moved
Hmm.
you to put that into place.
Yeah, back in 1997, I've been with the company 33 years. I've been CEO since 1997. And in 1997, when I was given the privilege to lead the company, I went back to school. I
Okay.
went to the University of San Diego. I did a master's degree in leadership. That's where I met my dear friend and my mentor, Ken Blanchart, the one-minute
Nice.
manager. I was introduced to servant leadership. And there were a few things that became very obvious to me. Number one was micromanagement wasn't scalable. At that time, we were about a quarter of the size we are now in revenue, and most of our revenue was in the United States. And we had a dream that we wanted to take that blue and yellow can with a little red top to the world. We knew there were squeaks around the world that we needed to solve. And I knew that I wasn't going to do that by micromanaging. I needed to take the principles of servant leadership, of care, of candor, of accountability and responsibility, and build a culture that allowed people to thrive. Ken and I wrote a book together. It's called Helping People Win at Work. And the mantra is, we're not here to mark your paper. We're here to help you get an A. Because leadership is about helping people get A's, not some silly normal distribution curve. So, we took those principles and we started measuring employee engagement. Another thing that became very clear to me, I was reading some of the Dalai Lama's work many, many years ago, and the Dalai Lama says our purpose in life is to make people happy. If we can't make them happy, at least don't hurt them. And I think a lot of organizations were hurting people, and that's not fair. So we started on the journey. I worked out that I was consciously incompetent, and in most circumstances, I'm probably wrong and roughly right. I learned the three most powerful words I've ever learned in my life, and they are, I don't know. And I got very comfortable with not knowing. And, we have an algorithm for culture. Culture equals values plus behavior times consistency. So we set a clear set of values in the organization. We were going to be brave enough and love enough our people enough to not only praise them and applaud them for great work, but to redirect them when they needed to. And we had to do it day after day after day after day. And that's why today we have 93% employee engagement. 98% of our people say they love to tell people they work at WD-40 company, and 97% of people say they respect their coach or their boss. We don't call people managers here. The person who's your boss is your coach.
Coach or mentor.
Yeah, which is really important. And interestingly enough, Doctor, in that period of time, as we've quadrupled or more than quadrupled our revenue, our market cap as a public company has gone from about 300 million to about $2.5 billion. So I think we've proven that what Aristotle said was right. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work.
He said it, but you put it into action. Thank you so much for doing that and for setting the stage to other CEOs and the CEOs out there. Servant leadership works. And our dear friend, Garry Ridge, is an example that we should emulate and we should follow. And you proved the numbers that servant leadership and engaging employees really works to the betterment of all. Betterment for the organization, shareholders, a society. Because when you have a happy employee, you have a happy family, then you have a happy neighbors, and then you have a happy organization. So it really flourishes everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope people follow that model. So when you created an environment like this, based on your experience, that led you to believe innovation became the norm within that organization?
Yeah, I think innovation is fueled by curiosity and freedom. And we took the fear of failure out of our organization. The one thing people aren't comfortable with is declaring failure. So we said, we're not going to make mistakes at WD-40 Company. We're going to call them the opportunity to learn in a positive or negative way, a learning moment.
Moments.
We say we don't make mistakes at WD-40 Company. We have learning moments. And the definition of a learning moment is a positive or negative outcome of any situation that has to be openly and freely shared to benefit all people. So by having that learning moment as embedded in our culture, people can be extra curious, they can be brave, and they can experiment. So, innovation, you would have thought, how do you innovate a brand like WD-40? And we found many ways. One of the ways I think I mentioned to you earlier was this is
that's the new design. That's the new design you have, right?
Yeah, this is called Easy.
Is it on the market now, Garry? Is it on the market? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it is. So this can you had this flip-up dispenser called, we call it Smart Straw. But you'll see the straw attached to it is straight and it's rigid. we did research. We do something very interesting. We listen to our end users. They tell us what their problems are. They tell us what they'd like to have solved. And from that came this innovation. And a lot of our product is used in workshops and factories by artisans and tradesmen. And they said, can you help us get the product to hard to get to places? So if you can imagine, an auto mechanic has your car up on a hoist, he's trying to remove a piece of exhaust or something, and the bolt that he wants to loosen is seized. He needs to get some WD-40 to it, but it's behind or above something. It's really hard to get to. Not anymore. You can now bend this and it stays in place. So this can
That
get
is amazing.
So what does this do for that guy? It helps him get the job done faster. So his need is to get that car in, get it up, get it down, and get it out. Because the more times he does that, the more he can create memories for his family by supporting, with his business. So these are the sort of things that we do. We've been introducing another range of products called WD-40 Specialist.
What is
and
that?
So WD-40 is a multi-use product, which means it can do, it's a lubricant, a penetrant, a water displacer. It removes gum and grease, and it stops corrosion. So it's multi-purpose. But sometimes you may need a specific use product that is a better penetrant than WD-40. So we introduced WD-40 Specialist Penetrant. This is a best-in-class, VOC-free. The other thing that's really great about our products, our second value at WD-40 is we value creating positive, lasting memories in all of our relationships. So we have a mandatory that we will have no carcinogenics in any of our products, no Prop 65 chemicals. So it's safe, it's VOC compliant. And again, how do we help that person get the job done? Problem solved, job done right.
So the specialist one, is this for professionals? More like with the mechanic using the one you have, using this one, who would use the specialist one?
The mechanic would.
When would you use it?
The mechanic would, when he has, for example, a seized bolt that needs a more effective penetrant. But we also have, a penetrant, we have a silicon, we have a white lithium grease, we have a contact cleaner. Again, a range of products that are specific use, mainly by professionals. You, doctor, as a household user, would probably never buy Specialist because this does everything you want.
That's enough. I wouldn't even think you have something like that.
Right.
Because there was no need for it. But
right. But artisans and mechanics do.
Would use it, true.
Yeah.
And also you have other products in addition to those two. You have, what else do you have? Other brands as well? Did you merge into other brands?
Yeah, we own 3-in-1 Oil, which is a over 100-year-old brand that we acquired. Lava Soap, it's a heavy-duty hand cleaner. And then we have a couple of other products in the home care and cleaning area, a product called Spot Shot, which is an carpet stain remover. And we just released a few years ago a whole range of bicycle products. So we have WD-40 Bike, which is a range of products specifically formulated for cyclists, a wet lube, a dry lube. And then we also have a range of products especially formulated for RV users. So people who are out there in recreational vehicles who need particular maintenance needs under the 3-in-1 brand, we have a range of products there as well.
So those go in line with your organization's culture and vision.
Yes.
How important is vision to your organization?
Well, yeah, if you don't know where you want to go, any road will get you there. So, our vision is really our why statement, which is we exist to create positive, lasting memories by solving problems in factories, homes, and workshops around the world. That's our why statement. And then, how do we do that is equally as important. I love the work of Simon Sinek, and our how is we create positive, lasting memories by cultivating a tribal culture of learning and teaching, which produces a highly engaged workforce who live our company's values every day. So that's how we do.
I love this.
Our why.
That's your why. That's what made it into what we do. Now, we are different, meaning individuals are different. There's a difference in values and attitude that would lead to different behaviors, especially when you come to a company like yours, an organization like yours. believe in servant leadership, and not necessarily every employee on board would have the same, at least, personality. How would you bring them along? What incentives would you use to bring people to this tribe you just mentioned and make them conform to your organizational culture and norms?
I don't want them to conform to our values. I want them to want to be in a company that has our values. You can't make anybody do anything. But what's important to us is our values. We have 6 of them. They're hierarchical. And we explain what the,
Are you in a position to tell me what they are? What are
yeah,
these 6? Okay, go
yeah.
ahead.
Our number 1 value is we value doing the right thing.
Okay.
Our number 2 value is we value creating positive, lasting memories in all of our relationships. Our number 3 value is we value making it better than it is today. Our number 4 value is we value succeeding as a tribe while excelling as individuals. Our number 5 is we value owning it and passionately acting on it. And our number 6 value is we value sustaining the WD-40 economy. Now, they're hierarchical. The number 1 value has more weight than number 6. And each one of these values has a paragraph underneath it that actually describes what we mean by that value. So, if you go on our careers page on our website, the first thing that pops up are our values, and it talks about them, and it says, if you don't feel you are aligned with these values, don't call us. Don't call us. So it's and the great thing about our values is they go across cultures, they go across countries, they go across ethnicities, they go across gender. These are the things that hold us together. These are the absolute foundation of our organization.
So it starts from the beginning, from the selection process. So HR plays a part in this. HR knows, your HR knows exactly what they're looking for. And the applicant, based on your disclaimer, knows exactly what they're heading into. So there's a match between the desire and people, what they're getting into. What incentives do you have to make them continue being motivated to be part of your tribe?
One of the biggest desires or things that we have a need for as human beings is to belong.
Okay.
If you think of Maslow's hierarchy to self-actualization, the first 2 rungs are, am I safe? And can I survive? Do I have what I need? The third one is belonging or love. And that's why an incentive for us is you matter to us. Apart from, we have good compensation and we have good benefits. You can get them kind of anywhere. But the incentive at WD-40 Company is our definition of a tribe is a group of people that come together to both protect and feed each other. It's about belonging somewhere where you're treated with respect and dignity. We care about you, which means our empathy eats our ego instead of our ego eating our empathy.
I like that.
We're candid with you, no lying, no faking, no hiding. I believe most people don't lie. I believe people fake and hide, and the reason they fake and hide is because of fear, and we want to take fear out. We're going to hold you accountable. And what we mean by that is the reason we let people down in life, we believe, is when we're not clear about what we expect from each other. And we want to be very clear about that. And then finally, responsibility. And we have a thing called the Maniac Pledge. Can I read it to you?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. It says, I am responsible for taking action, asking questions, getting answers, and making decisions. I won't wait for someone to tell me. If I need to know, I'm responsible for asking. I have no right to be offended that I didn't get this sooner. And if I am doing something others should know about, I am responsible for telling them. That's our pledge of responsibility to each other.
That's your vows.
Just about.
That's your vows to each other, to the community, to the society. You created a culture, sir. You created a culture that is sustainable for years to come. You've been with the company for 30 years or so. You've been on the helm since 1997 or 1997. What's your message? I want to talk about your legacy. What's your message to the CEO that will come after you? We don't want this culture to change. We want this culture to sustain itself by people like you. What's your message to them? Because I want somebody 10, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, looking at this interview, and they would remember these words you're going to tell them.
Yeah. I don't have a job. At WD-40, I don't have a job. I have a purpose, and that's really what is so important. So,
Mhm.
I want to have an organization where meaning is important, and meaning is about protecting the people. Bob Chapman, who's a great leader, he is CEO of a company called Barry Weinmiller, says everybody who comes to work is someone's precious child. And that's how I think about our people. So, I don't have a job, I have a purpose, and my purpose is to serve. And that's what we're here to do as leaders. We're here to serve the people that come to spend time with us.
That is beautiful to serve the people, because when you serve the people, they would value the organization, and they will value you as a leader in charge, and they will also in return they reciprocate toward other human beings, because doesn't just stop there. That's continuous by them being good to their own children, probably their spouses, their neighbors, society. So it goes all the way. That's what we call purposeful leadership. And you mentioned something about purpose, and I have a say on this. It's the passion. When I mentor my students or mentor other leaders, coaching or whatever it is that in what capacity, I always tell them, find a purpose. And then after you find a purpose, put your passion behind it and go all the way. There is no stoppage after this. And I've just sensed your passion. I sensed there's sincerity in your approach. There's no nonsense. And that's what made you as successful as you are. So more power to you, sir. And I really do hope more CEOs follow your footstep, because these footsteps should be followed, because we do need more people like you, need more leaders like you. Let's talk about the learning moments if we can go back to that one. And it wouldn't be fair for me to talk about learning moments without mentioning our dear friend, Chester Elton. I had an interview with him, and he mentioned you in good lights, of course, positively, and he has very good admiration, high admiration for you. And he talked about these learning moments, and you mentioned them a little bit. But what I'm interested in now, these learning moments, what do you think they will do to the employees? Because you don't have punishment in your work. There is no such thing as demotion. There is no such thing. It couldn't be just such a perfect world. There must be something else. What do you do? Do you fire employees at all? Or how do you deal with somebody that doesn't, I don't want to use the word conformity anymore, but perform according to your own traditions and norms?
Well, the first thing is, again, as I said, is performance is really a matter of understanding of what we're holding each other accountable for. And WD-40 is a great place, but it's not for everyone. And yes, we have shared people with our competitors from time to time because we want them to be happy. And, one of the book that I wrote with Ken Blanchart talks about the process we use, which is really our coaches are dedicated to helping people step into their best version of their personal self. So
Mhm.
once we've agreed what we want to do together, then my job as the coach is not to run onto the playing field. It's to get on the sideline and in the locker room and help that person succeed. Now, if they're not succeeding and they're not fulfilling themselves, then they're not happy in the role, and we want them to be happy. So if anybody, we would be okay with them, um, and we want them to leave with respect and dignity. We don't want to be, you've done a bad job. It's okay. This job doesn't suit you. So how can we help you go to a place where you will be happy? And that's happened, and that's okay. I mean, it's okay. No problem. It's okay.
What happens to them? Do you fire them or they just leave on their own?
And I mean, we would, if they're not going to be happy here, then we would encourage them to go somewhere else. You want to call it
Exit.
firing? It's not. It's we separate with them to help, but we want to help them go to where they're going to be happy
So
because they
basically,
deserve to be happy.
what I'm gathering here is this, and I wanted to reach that point on purpose. I wasn't leading you into it, but I wanted others to hear this. I'm against firing people. I am for retraining that individual and maintain them on board as long as they don't do something unethical, then we're fine. So basically, when somebody doesn't perform at your organization, you don't just say, "Hey, you're fired." You just fire. You bring them in. If there's a need, you train them. You see what why are they lacking behind? You understand that, and then from that point you put a solution, either ultimatum of sort or training or whatever they need. And if they don't really perform, then they're okay to leave, to
Yeah,
go to
and
another culture.
that's the whole basis of the book that I wrote with Ken Blanchart.
Hmm.
You know, we're not here to mark your paper, we're here to help you get an A.
Tell me
So
about
what
Ken. You mentioned Ken several times. Is he a friend of yours, a mentor of yours? What's your relationship with him?
Yeah, he's a dear friend of mine. He was my mentor. He was my professor at USD. I was actually on the board of his company for 10 years after we got to know each other. He's 81 years old now, and um, he's written, I don't know how many best-selling books, whether it be the most famous one, which was The 1 Minute Manager.
The 1 minute
Um,
manager, yes.
yeah. And he's probably the global authority on servant leadership. Yeah, he's a great guy. I've learned so much from Ken Blanchard.
That's wonderful. It's nice to be appreciative, nice to be that's an indication of who you are as an individual when you pay respect to people who mentored you and to actually acknowledge them. That also tells a lot about you. So, and I'm sure your followers and your people, the people you mentored, will always say the same thing about you. So it's really nice. It's a fresh air, something good to hear, nice to hear. Really, very good. Congratulations to
Thank you.
both of you. Now, let's see what else. I think we covered everything we need to cover here. What else do you want us to know? Okay, no, there's something else. Ego. Tell me about ego and what does ego do to leadership?
It kills it. Absolutely
Tells it.
kills it. I developed someone. Here he is. He's called Al, the soul-sucking CEO.
Tell us about Al.
It's a doll. It's a little
It's a
doll
dog.
that I made. It's got soul-sucking CEO written on the back. And when I do public speaking and whatever, it's a bit like Chester Elton's carrots. He has carrots as a
Yes,
doll. That's where I got the idea from. But let
yes.
me tell you about Al. Al, his ego eats his empathy instead of his empathy eating his ego. He excludes people from critical conversations and decisions. He wants to be surrounded by servants whose job it is to tend to his emotional needs. He has stopped learning because he believes he knows everything. He doesn't care what anyone knows or thinks. He doesn't learn from experiences. He must never be challenged by opposing and additional ideas. He's a micromanager to the extent that the input that people bring causes delays and stops critical thinking. He never keeps his word. He manages by fear and he hates feedback.
That's a scary leader.
There's many of them out there.
They do exist, and we know some of them, unfortunately. So, are you going to brand this doll of yours, or you just use it as a prop?
Well, it's called, I have a website also called the soulsuckingceo.com, which is connected to my Learning Moment website where I post blogs and share other leadership learning that I've had. I have a page there with a list of books that I recommend that people read. So it's a little way of me trying to openly share some of my learning moments.
Go ahead and kindly repeat those websites for us so
Yeah,
people can go and use them as well.
the best one is www.thelearningmoment.net. Thelearningmoment.net.
Moment.net. And the
Yeah.
second one,
www.thesoulsuckingceo.com.
you're not only changing the environment within your organization, but you're also helping the society and people in society. And I hope a show like this and us being able to bring your insights to them, they know and they would know being a servant leader does work. Actually, it makes them more effective and more successful. And you prove that point to be valid. Anything you want to add? In this uncertain time, what's your advice to leaders?
Don't try to control things beyond your reach. You can influence what you can. Let empathy lead the way. Keep grounded in calm. Resist the temptation to micromanage because that's tempting. Be clear about your intent. Practice pragmatic optimism. Pragmatic optimism is not having your head in the clouds. It's looking at a situation with the best amount of information you can have. And remember that everybody is on their own hero's journey. Lead with gratitude. We make a deeper connection with people if we enter with gratitude, assume positive intent, show empathy, appreciate, gratitude and respect, love them up,
What a beautiful message.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you so much for coming on and making our day for those people out there. It's in the morning here in Los Angeles, and it's such a beautiful message for us to live by today. So thank you for making our day. Thank you for being you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.